What's up, Crypto Knights? Derrick here with you for another episode of KTF News. And it is Wednesday, June 6, 2018. And that means we are just a few days out from the release of the latest Keys to Freedom newsletter. Myself, Diggy, and Mitch are really excited to bring this out to you this month. We've got some awesome news, some awesome updates about the market, and a few great projects that we're going to cover as our picks for the best projects to look at this month. So definitely, if you haven't joined us yet, go ahead and join us in the Black Ops, become a member of the Keys to Freedom community, and you'll get that newsletter coming out to you on the 10th of each month. So let's talk about a couple of pretty awesome news stories for today. Number one is Woz. Woz coming out, and of course, if you don't know him, he is the co-founder of Apple, Steve Wozniak, and he just came out recently and gave an interview to CNBC at the Money 2020 conference saying that he hopes Bitcoin will become a single global currency. Pretty cool stuff. So he was responding to a recent tweet, a recent interview statement that Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey gave when Jack Dorsey recently said that he believes Bitcoin will become the single global currency. And Wozniak says he hopes that that happens. So here's what Woz said. He said, I buy into what Jack Dorsey says, not that I necessarily believe it's going to happen, but because I want it to be that way. That is so pure thinking, okay? And Wozniak, he bought Bitcoin when it was $700, but has since sold all but one of them. He said he's not really interested in being a speculator on the currency. He's just really interested in the underlying technology and the ability to have money without a central bank, without fiat reserve currencies, without all of that kind of monetary easing policies and all the nonsense that we've seen with fiat currencies over the year. Now, to go a little bit further with Wozniak said, he said, Bitcoin is mathematically defined. There's a certain quantity of Bitcoin. There's a way it's distributed, and it's pure. And there's no human running it. There's no company running, and it's just growing and growing and surviving. That, to me, says something that is natural, and nature is more important than all our human conventions. And I really love the way he breaks it down there. Bitcoin is natural. The natural market forces are for the market to determine how much something is worth, how much it can be used. Basically, its usability and its value of exchange in the greater community is going to determine its worth instead of what we've been living under for, maybe 100 plus years now, actually much longer than that. But really since the United States government took the dollar off the gold standard in 1971, we've been living in an all fiat world, okay? And we've seen the unbelievable amount of debt that's been created and just boom and burst cycles over and over and over again. About every 7 to 8 years, we see some sort of recession or even major economic crash like we've seen in 2008. And this is actually by design, okay? These cycles happen by design. It's part of fiat monetary policy. And if you want to look and find out what that's all about, please read the book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. It breaks down how the Federal Reserve was created, what fiat monetary policy is all about, and how all that madness works. And you definitely want to learn about that. It's one of the main books and things that I've learned about that has really cemented my belief in Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency space. Now, to go further with what Wozniak said here, he does believe that only Bitcoin is the pure cryptocurrency. And I tend to agree with him, okay? I think everything else besides Bitcoin has its own purposes and serves its own purposes. But I often hear this argument from people that they think Bitcoin is going to go away or it's going to disappear, it's going to be replaced by something else. And I don't buy that for a second, okay? Again, we have Ethereum. Ethereum is a smart contract-based solution to build dApps and to run smart contracts, okay? Smart contracts originally existed on the Bitcoin blockchain, but the developers decided to disable it. And they did that because they did not want Bitcoin to be complicated. Okay, they wanted Bitcoin to do one thing, and that's serve as a store of value, a form of digital gold that is completely decentralized beyond the control of any one party and can be used by everybody, all free people around the world. Okay, and that's what Bitcoin is doing very well. And what Woz says here is only Bitcoin is pure digital gold, and I totally buy into that. All the others tend to give up some of the aspects of Bitcoin. For example, being totally decentralized and having no central control. That's the first one they have to give up to try to have a business model. And Woz knows what he's talking about, okay? This is a man that's very successfully built businesses, and he's been around and seen it all. And he's very right, okay? When people do ICOs and they launch a project that way, there is much, much more centralization than Bitcoin, okay? And it is not completely decentralized. There is that party, whatever company, sometimes there's a company and a foundation that oversee the project when these ICOs are done. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, okay? Obviously, if you know me, you know I'm invested in many different projects in the space. I regularly invest in ICOs and different projects that I believe in. I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist, okay? And I've never bought into that line of thinking that there's only Bitcoin, okay? But I do believe that there is only Bitcoin for a store of value, okay? And there's no reason to use anything else because Bitcoin is pure, as Woz says, okay? It is completely decentralized. We have no idea who Satoshi Nakamoto is, and it doesn't even matter. Even if he was around and out there publicly, he would have very little control over what happens with Bitcoin, okay? Because Bitcoin is thousands and thousands of nodes all over the world, hundreds of thousands of developers, and it's just this big, beautiful system that kind of runs itself and just continues to grow and flourish. So Woz is 100% right, and I hope that he is right about Bitcoin becoming the world's reserve currency, and I think it will, okay? I do believe that we are very, very soon headed for an economic crisis globally that's going to put 2008 to shame. And I don't want to try to bum you out on a Wednesday morning or Tuesday night, wherever you are in the world, but this is the reality of where we're at. And the positive side of it is that in 2008, when that financial crisis happened, we didn't have Bitcoin, right? And that's kind of Satoshi Nakamoto in the original Bitcoin white paper made several comments about the 2008 financial crisis and, you know, why Bitcoin may be able to help us get around that. And I believe that will be the case. Okay, I believe that, of course, we will see people fleeing to gold and silver, assets such as that. But I believe we're going to see a big amount of people fleeing the traditional legacy monetary system with stocks and bonds and all that kind of stuff. As the market unravels and unravels very quickly, I believe a lot of that money will flow straight into Bitcoin as the world's reserve currency. And I think, you know, it can happen even sooner than we could possibly imagine. So I know the market's been down a little bit and it's been a rough 2018 so far for Bitcoin, but this is what you need to do, you know, just kind of zoom out and realize that we're really early to this. And we really have only begun to see the potential of the revolution that is Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. So I'm a believer in this. I believe what Woz is saying. He's an incredibly smart guy. And it's just awesome to keep seeing more and more coverage in the big media. I'm not a mainstream media guy, but you know, the reality is most people, if they're looking at media at all, they're just kind of watching what comes out from sources like CNBC. So cool to see. Another big story, Coinbase is coming to Japan and they have hired fintech leader Nao Kitazawa. So this is Dan Romero writing on the Coinbase blog, and he says, as part of our effort to accelerate the global adoption of cryptocurrency, today we're announcing the launch of Coinbase's office in Japan. Under the leadership of the highly respected and admired fintech leader Nao Kitazawa, our new office will lay the foundation for Japan's crypto investors to access a range of Coinbase's products. markets. As in other markets, we plan to take a deliberate approach to our rollout in Japan, which means working hand in hand with the Japanese FSA to ensure compliance with local laws at every stage. So very cool. Coinbase is continuing their plan for world domination along with Binance, who also has a similar plan and who we're also going to talk about in just a moment. But this is cool. Okay, we just recently saw Coinbase move into the UK. Okay, and here is Zishan Feroz, the CEO at the UK Coinbase, and he wrote recently, this was back on March 14th, we covered this on the news as well, but Coinbase was the first crypto exchange to obtain a UK bank account. They got an e-money license in the UK, and this also opens up access to all of the countries in the EU, okay? So it says here, our e-money license will extend beyond the UK to 23 countries within the EU, okay? So this is pretty awesome. I don't personally use Coinbase, but the big thing about Coinbase is it is kind of like a crypto bank, okay? It makes it very easy as a fiat on-ramp, which there's not a lot of easy, solid, reliable, trustworthy fiat on-ramps in many different locations. And though, you or myself, we may be more into the idea of storing our own private keys and really being our own bank, the current situation that we're in is that most people all around the world have been trained since they understood what money was to trust the banks and trust central institutions to take care of their money. And so they're kind of hesitant so far to really go all the way and just take full control and manage their private keys and stuff. For a lot of newcomers that come into cryptocurrency, it's very overwhelming. And you might have felt the same way when you came into it. Even I was overwhelmed, and I was a guy that had been involved in tech and have done software development. And, I've been heavily involved in working with computers since I was about 13 years old. So, but even that said, there are still a lot of things that are really complicated, working with smart contracts through my Ethereum wallet, working with stuff like Primal Block, it can get complicated for people. So there is a place very clearly, as the market has shown, as Coinbase continues to grow and grow and grow. Recently, they've had self-evaluation, so they've internally evaluated their company at about $8 to $10 billion. So, it's a huge, massive company and growing every single day. And the reason they've been so successful is because they make it so damn easy for people to get started, and they make it so people can trust them. Okay. They do store, I believe, 99% of the cryptocurrency for their clients in cold storage. So if you leave your crypto in a Coinbase wallet, it's generally going to be about as safe as it can be. Okay. For most people out there, handling their own private keys without doing proper security. A lot of people don't even have antivirus on their computers, and there's not enough attention paid by the general public to security. With that said, I do still believe 100% without a doubt you should learn about security. You should learn how to handle your private keys. You should have a hardware wallet such as the Trezor or the Nano, and you should really lock your stuff down that way. But even with that said, Coinbase does maintain the status of being probably the easiest fiat on-ramp in America and Canada, and now several other countries around the world, and moving into Japan, which of course has become one of the largest cryptocurrency markets in the world. So exciting news for Coinbase. It's just great to see companies that are at this level continue to grow, continue to develop, because they're going to be the companies that help the most people that aren't in the cryptocurrency space right now get into it, okay? And they're going to make it really easy for people. And you want people to have a good experience and to feel safe and secure in what they're doing when they get into the cryptocurrency space. Because remember, we're talking about people taking a huge leap, okay? They've lived their whole lives believing in the dollar or the yen or whatever other currency it is, and now they're taking this big chance, this big risk on this highly speculative asset they just heard about. And so we need to make it easy for people. We need to make them feel comfortable. And that's what Coinbase has done an awesome job doing. Now, let's talk about another giant player in the cryptocurrency space, and this is Binance, okay? Binance, the world's largest crypto exchange, invest in blockchain-based eSports platform. Okay, so this is taking that nerd level to the higher level, if you will, as blockchain, cryptocurrency, and eSports continue to intertwine and have a nice relationship together. So the world's largest crypto exchange, Binance, has made an undisclosed investment into blockchain-based eSports voting platform Chills, or is that Chiliz? Yeah, Chiliz. Chiliz with a Z, according to a press release published today. Okay, this Chiliz has already raised $27 million via an ongoing private placement, evidently a closed token sale. Of course, private sales are becoming more and more of the standard with a lot of these big projects as the uncertainty around the regulatory environment continues around ICOs. So the company claims that Binance's investment will enable the sharing of technical knowledge, innovation, and creativity. So here's CZ, the Binance CEO, saying thanks for helping Binance so much. This is the least we could do. Congratulating the CEO, Alexandre Dreyfus, his tweet referring to the investment. Now, Binance just recently announced its plans to create a $1 billion cryptocurrency-based fund, and they're using Binance's BNB tokens as the underlying investment tool. And they're putting $1 billion worth of BNB into various blockchain projects. And this appears to be the first one, though I wasn't able to find any confirmation on whether this was part of that official fund and they had used BNB, or if it was just Binance's private investment. Maybe they got some equity or something. Not really sure, but I wanted to bring this up because this is really cool. Esports is something that is a future trend and actually a booming market already. But this is something that, along with the blockchain and along with the cannabis industry, are three kind of kind of overlooked, or they're not really taken seriously by a lot of the mainstream press or mainstream, more traditional investors that invest in stocks and bonds. But the reality is the esports space is absolutely booming and it's getting bigger and bigger. And as we add virtual reality into the picture, I think esports can actually become bigger than the real sports, bigger than football, bigger than basketball, bigger than baseball, bigger than all that. And here, let's take a look at the growth here. So this is Newzoo, and this is like an esports consultancy and research firm, and they put this together recently. So it's kind of hard to see this with my face over it, but this is the esports audience growth global for 2015, 2016, 2017, and then an estimate for 2020. And here's like occasional viewers and esports enthusiasts. So you can see the growth here. The audience is up massively, and you can't see what it says underneath my face here, but it says that most of the audience is in the Asia Pacific. So 51% of esports enthusiasts in 2017 are in the Asia Pacific. You can see APAC down there, 51%, 18% in the EU, 13% in North America, 18% in the rest of the world. So of course it's really big in Asia, huge in China with League of Legends, as well as South Korea kind of kicked off the trend of esports with StarCraft. StarCraft became huge in South Korea, of course, and people will go to arenas. You'll go and be with 23,000 people watching a live StarCraft competition. So this is a big deal. And here's the revenue, okay, which is why it's an even bigger deal, right? So this is including including year-on-year growth, featuring league media rights, etc. So here's $696 million total dollars in revenue in the esports space in 2017. This is up 41.3% year on year. Okay, I know most investors, most people looking at trends are going to be very excited about any kind of industry that's growing 41% year by year. Okay. That would be stellar for just one company. And we do see those kind of returns. But if you see a whole industry, that means there's a lot of individual companies within it that are providing much, much higher returns than that. And of course, that's what's exciting from an investment standpoint. So you see a big part of it is sponsorship. So that's 38%, $266.3 million. Now, this started out with just the game companies themselves sponsoring the events, but now you're getting mainstream sponsors. You know, you get your Pepsi, Coca-Cola, you're getting all these different sponsors, just as they would sponsor traditional sports. Okay. Then you also have advertising, 155.3 million. Again, you have advertisers in the gaming space, but also more traditional mainstream companies, big advertisers, because they realize that this is a incredibly passionate audience, and they're just dialed in, right? When they're watching these esports competitions, they're not casually watching it while they play on their phone or whatever. They're dialed in, they're live, they're watching it. Media rights, $95.2 million. So yes, they are already successfully licensing esports on TV, okay, and in big markets. This is actually being, I believe, on Spike in America, if I'm correct. They have esports streaming, and it streams all around the world. Okay, actually, on the right-hand side here, you can see some of the broadcasters. So Southeast Asia, Astro, Turner. Looking at China, of course, New Zealand, Poland, Balkans, France, Africa, Turkey, Germany, Romania. These are just some of the big broadcasters around the world that are showing esports on their networks right now. Game publisher fees, merchandise and tickets, sponsorship, etc. So you can see it's huge, but it's estimated to be worth about $1.6 to $2 billion a year by 2020, and the estimates going beyond that get much, much larger as VR tech will start to get integrated in this. And then people will basically be able to be kind of like live in the game that's taking place. So you'll be a speculator watching the best players in the world live as if you're in the game. And that's really exciting for a lot of people that like to watch this stuff. So this goes hand in hand with blockchain, and it goes hand in hand with cryptocurrency, of course, because you would want to have a digital currency that can live within these games, okay? And a lot of different ICOs are based around this right now. There's a ton of different projects moving into the esports space. So as an investor, as somebody that watches trends, wants to know where the future is going, definitely look more into esports, and you can invest in the different blockchain-based products around it, but you could also look at equity investing, more traditional stock market investing in the various companies around this space, because they are growing massively as well. So of course, not financial advice, do your own research, but I just want to bring this to your attention. And I think it is a pretty awesome way for Binance to go with one of their first investments in this new fund. So with that said, that is all for the news today. Please go ahead and let me know how you feel. Let me know what you think about Woz saying that Bitcoin will become the world's reserve currency, or I guess saying that he hopes it becomes the world's reserve currency. Do you think that anything else can come up and actually compete with Bitcoin as a store of value, or is it really the top dog? And what do you think about Coinbase? Do you use it? Do you care? Are you happy that they're moving to Japan? I'm pretty happy about the growth of them personally. And about esports, have you ever played? What's your favorite game? Let me know what your favorite game is down below. Please subscribe, give me some thumbs up, and you don't want to miss another video that we put up on the channel. So definitely subscribe, click that notifications bell, and you'll get all of the videos as soon as they come out. And I will see you again very, very soon. Peace.